I reckon we could probably kick off. I'm going to start. I'll just get my screen up to begin with.
Should we start with BTC? Because it's been an interesting morning, obviously, in the Euro time zone. This morning, or where do you want to start?
I'm with the stock markets. Just quickly, I'll go over them.
No worries.
So basically, what's been happening is we're in the everything bull market. Most stock markets are making new all-time highs. We've got the FTSE is going bananas. I'll go out to the daily, and it's just this red line here is a previous all-time high. It's just making one after the other in discovery. It's up about 5% above the previous all-time high at the moment. Then we've got we'll jump into the US. So the US has had a little bit of a retracement, bit of a healthy retrace, and it's coming up now to start testing the all-time high again, which is it's really not that far away. As we know, Japan has broken its 35-year all-time high record. Brazil's made all-time highs. France has made all-time highs. Australia's made all-time highs. It's just happening everywhere. This is the everything bull market. And something that's been lagging has been the Chinese markets. And it's something that I've probably spoken to the most out of all of the stock markets over the past sort of 6 to 7 months, and how I'm extremely bullish on it. I just want to show something here. So in 4 weeks, and this week has only just started, which forms part of the 4 weeks. In 4 weeks, the Chinese market, or the Hang Seng, has rallied over 17.5%, which is pretty massive. In comparison, if we jump into here, so I'm going to measure from this low 4 weeks up, and we'll see how much the SPX jumped up. So it gaps into the weekly open. We've got 1 week, 2, 3, 4 weeks up. It rallied 10.5% in 4 weeks, which is pretty damn good as well. But it just goes to show that the HSI, or the Chinese market, is a lot more volatile. It's like an intermediate between crypto versus traditional finance. So for me, HSI, the low's in, and it's actually a high low over the macro time frame. Got the lower low over here. It's held the low. It's pushing up. Yeah, they're going to play catch up really quickly, I think. And this is just a testament to how quickly it can move. This 17.5% move in over 4 weeks. Watch this space. So that's enough about stocks. Well, I think most of you guys are here probably for crypto. We'll jump into Bitcoin, and the first thing I want to do, I'll just show some of the stuff that's been going, if I can work this out, been going on in premium. So this is where I put my chart updates up. And this morning, I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah. So this morning, I was having a look at the charts while I'm sitting on the plane, and I thought it's spent a little bit of time down the bottom here at around that 60 to 61K level. And I was open to the idea for basically a Monday pump, which we saw something similar happen last week, where we got the Monday pump and then it faded into a sell off later on in the week. And so my idea was the 50% level from the local high to the local low is around 62.8, and that's sort of where I thought the price was going to head before it continues back down. I've shorted the move. I'm also open to the move running up a bit higher. However, there was a lot of liquidity sitting at around that 63.6 to 63.8 level. And if that gets collected, it's going to propel the price up because you're going to get a lot of shorts get liquidated, which just helps drive the price up higher. Then just looking at some CVD here, when it had the wick up to 63.2, a pile of shorts started jumping in. And at the moment, we'll have a look at where things are. So it's had a little bit more of a bounce, about 62.7, as we're coming into the 4-hour close here. I'll just delete that. So we've had a I'm still on the weekly chart. So I think we're just going to really continue to see this sideways movement throughout May. 65k to the upside is an extremely important level. If we start getting multiple day closes above there, that would pretty much signify that this is the low in my mind, at least anyway. However, we start getting below this 60k level, then we're going to start looking to test the lows. But I really don't think we're going to see much shape take form in the way of pushing to highs or pushing to lows probably until June. That's what I'm sort of working to. It can happen sooner, but yeah, in my mind, it's probably going to happen in the first couple of weeks of June. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. I think with this price movement, it's sort of playing a bit of a game with Bitcoin dominance, taking liquidity away from the poor performing alts. And we can see that by, like, for instance, Render. Render is on fire. It's doing really well. It's holding up really good. But then you jump into something like XRP, and it's massively underperforming. What's going on here? So XRP is still trading in its trading range from back in May last year. Basically, it hasn't done anything. It's been running on the spot, more or less. It has had some decent wicks up. That's the litigation case that they won. That's that pump. Then it faded. Pump here, fades. Pumps, fades. Just really not doing anything. But then when you jump in, we'll jump in NIA. Let's have a quick look at NIA. NIA is holding up really well. Bottomed at $1. Currently sitting 7x off the bottom. I'm not going to talk too much more about NIA because I'm going to do Sweat today as opposed to NIA, which we can jump in and have a look at Sweat now, perhaps. So Sweat has really been underperforming for me. It is still sitting 2x up from its lows, which is good. But the fact of where it's trading right now, below the white line, it shows weakness to me. It really wants to have held these lows. You don't want to be trading below them. So that for Sweat, in the short term, or as soon as possible, realistically, it wants to get back above that white line there, which sits at around $0.01. We have had a couple weeks in the last few days, but it just hasn't held on to it. It came straight back down into its trading range. We can chuck it on the daily where we can see that a bit more clearly. So we can see we've had a few wicks up, but retraces it, sells off, pokes through, retraces it. Really just doing a bit of sideways movement in this current trading range, with the upper limit being at around 1 cent, the lower limit being at around 0.008. If it doesn't manage to get up, then we have to look to the downside. We've got to play both cases here. So bullish is getting back above the white line and continuing up in an uptrend. To the downside, we've got this 786 fib, and then we've got this red line down here at 0.0063, which a long time ago it was actually fairly significant resistance. It was support over here before it dumped down, formed its low back in June last year. And then as it came out, was resistance, pushed through, flipped it to support again, confirmed the support, and then it took off. So that's a very, very significant level at 0.0063. There's a lot of time, but there's a lot of price between those two levels. I don't think it's going to get down there, but if it was to start testing this 0.0075, then that's sort of the next area that we need to look for. We have to consider both scenarios. So bearish down here, bullish up here. We don't know what's going to happen in the black area, but we need to be prepared in the instance it goes up, or perhaps it's going to go down. Another one we can take a look at, I think, can be maybe Solana. So Solana at the moment has come up and tested its 50% level a couple of times. And both times it's been rejected, although this second time hasn't rejected as hard just yet. So it's, whilst below the 50%, it's weak, but these retracements are also getting weaker. So we really want to see Solana start getting back above this $160 level to then start considering challenging these tops again. I think it's really going to probably just be a bit of sideways action, waiting on Bitcoin to make a move first. Just because we've got Bitcoin dominance is still looking quite good. And this is another classic here of a 50% level acting as support, which is in contrast to what's been happening with the alts, as you would expect. Made its high, came down, hit the 50% level at 53.9, and now it's sort of bounced off again. It's too early to say, but this over here could definitely be a high. It could definitely be the high for the Bitcoin dominance. We don't have any confirmation. To get confirmation, you really want to see the dominance start falling below this range over here. But it did get heavily rejected. Like, that's a 3% drop basically from high to low, which is fairly significant for the dominance. So we could be coming. We're definitely coming up here to potentially put in a lower high. So we can fib this actually. Well, not fib it. We'll see what the 50% level comes in. So we'll see what happens with the dominance when it starts getting to that 54.5% level, 55.5% level. Starts rejecting, then it's going to come back down and probably will push through this low that it's put in over here. But the dominance can take a bit of time to play out. This is over a month from the high to today. That's a month right there. So, we could take another week to start to get to this level, and then maybe another 3 weeks to start testing the lows again, or 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, which sort of puts us in around the middle of June. What's your take, Simon? Where do you see things at the moment? He might have dropped off. Another one we can have a look at is Ethereum. So it's in a little bit of a falling wedge here. I actually don't really look at Ethereum too much. It's a little bit of a falling wedge. At the moment, it is bearish, but I am quite bullish on Ethereum for the remainder of 2024. You can see we've got a high time frame, 50% level at around 2,500. Depending on where Bitcoin goes, I think that's quite easily achievable to get down to that zone. We saw today Bitcoin dropped about 1%, 1.5%, and alts were dropping by 5% plus. So for Ethereum to get down there, it sort of lines up with the trend line as well. Only in about a week though. So if we were to look into June, could get to that 2,400 level perhaps. But the other interesting one is Ethereum Bitcoin chart on logarithmic out to the weekly. It has failed to get consecutive closes above this trend line. Popped up here with a little bit of hope back in Feb, but still going down. And I just stuffed up my thing there. This point up here, that marks the top from turning to proof of stake, from proof of work. And it actually looks like it's about to put in another lower low, to be honest. We've got my little purple box down here. It's my target zone that I've had for many months now. Yeah, in the short term, I think I'm still bearish on Ethereum against Bitcoin, but moving forward for the remainder of the bull market, it's going to break this trend line at some point. Probably in the next sort of 3 to 4 months is where my mind sort of sits with it, and it'll start to flip this around and start pushing up. And when it does get moving, it moves really, really quickly. You can see here, it just sort of moons up. Even back here, I had all this time pulling back, and then it pretty much mooned up in the space of 3 months. This is a while ago now, but mooned up. Whereas what we're seeing at the moment is a long grind sideways and down, and I'm expecting it to just sort of moon up. But we'll see what happens. Hunter, was there anything you wanted me to have a look at, mate? Ton. Yeah, we can have a look at Ton. Actually, I don't think I've ever had the Ton chart up before. This is looking pretty strong. About to break to new all-time highs again. We're on the cusp of. So let's put in a number of green days here. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once I start getting to about 7 green days in a row, you start looking for a pullback. Between that 7 and 11 green candles is when you start to expect a bit of a pullback. But if it does manage to push through the all-time high here, you can really expect it to start moving. The volume did start to drop off, but it's come back in. This is on the Bybit spot chart. So it's only showing what's been traded on Bybit, but it is looking pretty strong. I wouldn't mind seeing if there's a on BTC pair. Yeah, there is. Good. So again, this is a really healthy looking chart. It's broken the high over here. Looks like it's about to break out again. This is a really good looking chart. We can have a look at what a not so good looking chart looks like, actually, for comparison. I normally pick on XRP, but we'll go with DOT for a change. Down to the weekly. So this is a really poor looking chart. That looks like it's just going to more or less just keep going down to zero. Got a little bit of a sign of life over here, but it just kept going down. So that's a poor looking chart. We can even look at render, because this will be a very good looking chart. That's a strong chart, that one. Near is another one that comes to mind that looks pretty good. Although Near does have a bit more baggage sitting above. So we call this baggage. They form resistance levels, but we do have this structure coming out of the low. We've got a higher high, a higher low, higher high. Hopefully, a higher low is in here. We're going to go on to make another higher high. BNB. I actually haven't looked at a BNB Bitcoin chart in a while. I'm just assuming that it looks good, because BNB has been holding up really well. Yeah, look, I would say BNB is doing pretty all right. And we've got the higher high there. This is on a monthly time frame. It's made its low. Now we're coming back up. BNB is actually pretty close to its all-time high as well, on its USD valuation. There are a couple of examples of some good-looking charts. We had DOT as a bad example of a poor-looking chart. Look at XRP as another poor example. It looks like it's about to just start falling away here. I've got the sweat chart, actually, given that we spoke about sweat a little bit earlier. So this red line that we've got here lines up with the low that was formed back in June last year when it made its USD low. And it's been trading below this level for about a month now, which is not great either. If you were to consider this in comparison to like the DOT chart and the XRP chart, it's actually quite similar. It's not as bad. You got to ignore all the writing that I've got there. That just explains what has happened. So we had the USD low. That was when the original US launch was meant to be. That was when the US launch actually happened. And then we pretty much have had to sell off against the Bitcoin pair ever since. But we are starting to see a little bit of life come back into it now. Getting back above the red line is critical. We're below it currently. So it's a bit of a watch this space, but we've got to sort of go with what the trend is and assume that Bitcoin's going to continue to outperform sweat until we start seeing some higher highs and higher lows formed. Another one I wanted to have a look at was MATIC. MATIC, and I haven't looked at this chart in a while. MATIC was doing really well earlier on. We got our low in here, around 50 cents, give or take. Actually, no. But it was back here. We got the low at 30 cents. Then it had a massive rally. Got up to about $1.50, so that's a 5x. But I just think that it sort of went early. It went early on its run because ever since it made that high, it's really fallen over. And it's been doing a lot of sideways. This sort of shows it a little bit better. So, it's only sitting about 2x off its low. That's the rally that it had. I think I'm still on logarithmic, actually. Yeah, that's better. That's the original rally. Came down, and now it's put in a lower high. And it's really in the indecision mode at the moment because it's sitting at how it sits right now. It's putting in a higher low. But it's underperforming significantly compared to a lot of other of the old tokens. So like your Solana, Render was around for the last bit of the bull run last time. Yeah, it's quite underwhelming for me. So yeah, just wanted to touch on that. I think we got the giveaway coming up in a minute or two, so I might just jump. Is dot at Ripple network token? No, it's not. Dot's layer one. Ripple is involved with XRP. What have we got in here? Yeah, I could have a look at Link Koala. We'll just see who's won the giveaway because it's ending in 2 minutes. All right, we'll jump in and have a look at Link. Which has been a bit of another disappointment, to be honest, Link. I was having a little bit of a geeze at it the other day. I'll leave that there. So we had the accumulation period here and then the breakout. And it was one of the first, it sort of led the alts out of the bear market for the alts. And Link breaking out was a bit of a telltale that, all right, we're going to be on here. The low's pretty much in. And it was really strong in its movement out. Got the sideways movement, kept going, and we peaked at around $22. But now it's had a fairly significant retrace. And where it sits, it's actually below this range over here. So that's going to have all of this acting as resistance, which isn't great. I would have liked to have seen it come down and settle above this range. And that would have made it a lot easier for it to push on up to its next trading range and continue making higher highs. So for me at the moment, it's not sitting it's not sitting the best. It's still about a 3x off its low, I think, from memory. $4.50. Yeah, it's still sitting about a 3x off its low. So it's not bad. Like, it's sitting a lot better than like your XRPs and those sorts of coins. But just it's a bit disappointing given it's run out, how it brought the alts basically out of the alt bear market. And now it's just sort of faded. And it really just sits on this week back in April when Bitcoin came down and made its low. That's what really killed it. I was hoping to bag some Link, but I never got around to it. And when it made this rally, I was kicking myself. But now I'm sort of sitting and I'm like, would have been nice to be holding some, but I'm not as disappointed that I missed out, if you know what I mean. You can have a look at Link against Bitcoin as well. Sometimes that can paint a better picture. Yeah, so this isn't looking too good. It's almost trading back at its low from last year. Failed to get above the highs over here. So against Bitcoin, it's really not looking great. The USD chart's looking a lot healthier and stronger than the Bitcoin chart. Oh, Mystic. Is Mystic with us? No, he's not. Well, I guess we'll have a reroll. Now, how do I reroll? That's the $1,000,000 question. I'm just going to turn off sharing screen for a second. So we can do a reroll for this because Mystic is not here. Donny Ork. We've got a Donny Ork here. Nope. Let's go again. Kitty Pong. No, he's not here. I'm going to do 2 more rerolls, and if it doesn't happen, then we're going to bonus this to the next time that we catch up. It's rigged. Ringo, congratulations, mate. Just flick me a DM or open up a ticket in the server. We'll get you sorted for your prize. 1,000 sweat for you, mate. And I think on that note, that probably calls it for us for today. Appreciate everyone joining in. If you guys have any questions, chuck them up in the general banter chat, and I'll do my best to help out, or other people will. And we'll catch you next time. But yeah, thanks for jumping in.